I was so scared. I feel like I'm betraying people, but at the same time, he was my friend. But what happened was wrong.
This is 26-year-old Vanessa Moreno. Right now, she's crying in an interrogation room, claiming she witnessed something terrible. Detectives aren't sure if she's telling the truth. But what Vanessa doesn't know is that someone else already talked. Someone who saw everything. Someone she never expected to survive.
I thought I was already dead. I could taste my own blood. And the worst part, I had to watch them kill him.
In the early hours of April 15th, 2019, Riverside County Dispatch received a frantic 911 call. The caller reported 3 crimes at once: a murder, a kidnapping, and a carjacking. The caller was 29-year-old Marcus Bradford, and he was calling from his mother's house, covered in blood, barely coherent. What Marcus told operators that night would lead police to Vanessa Moreno's door. But the question detectives couldn't answer yet was simple. Was Vanessa Moreno a victim? Or was she the reason Devon Hayes never made it home? Marcus Bradford struggled with opioid addiction. On April 14th, his childhood friend Devon Hayes asked him to come along on a drug deal. Devon was delivering prescription painkillers to someone he knew. That someone was Vanessa Moreno. When Marcus and Devon arrived at the house that night, Vanessa led them inside. And that's when everything went wrong. 4 men rushed out from a back room. Marcus hit the ground immediately. Devon tried to run.
Did anybody say anything when they rushed out?
Not really. It was all happening so fast, everything was just chaos.
The detective asked if Kyle, specifically, said anything to him during the altercation.
The only thing he was saying to me was, "Get down! Get the fuck down! Stay on the ground or I'll shoot you!"
Then the detective asked him, did he get down?
Yeah, those are big guns. I was scared.
Kyle Bradford was Vanessa's boyfriend. He wasn't related to Marcus, despite sharing the same last name. And according to Marcus, Kyle held a gun to his head while Devon was dragged across the living room. But just hours later, Vanessa would tell detectives a completely different version of that night. A version where she had no idea anyone would get hurt. Marcus was forced to the ground. Duct tape was wrapped around his head, covering his eyes. But the tape wasn't tight. A small gap remained. Through that gap, Marcus could see his best friend being beaten with gun handles, fists, and something heavier. He couldn't move. He couldn't help. All he could do was watch. The detective asked when was he attacked.
After they got Devon.
How did they attack Devon?
They just came out and started hitting him with everything.
What did they hit him with?
I'm not sure. Pistols. Multiple things.
Marcus is leaving something out here, something he's not ready to say yet, because what he saw through that gap would haunt him for the rest of his life. Devon was beaten for 2 full minutes, and in those 2 minutes, someone made a decision that would change everything. Marcus told detectives that Vanessa was in the room the entire time. She watched. She didn't scream. She didn't call for help. In fact, Marcus says Vanessa did something far worse, but we'll get to that. First, let's hear what Vanessa told detectives when they brought her in for questioning.
Do you know what kind of investigation we're doing?
I believe so.
You realize it's a homicide investigation. Murder.
Okay.
Vanessa claims she invited Devon over to buy painkillers. She says Kyle came home early and got upset. She says things escalated, and she had no control. But here's the problem. Marcus told detectives that Vanessa cleaned blood off the walls after Devon was killed. He said she helped wrap the body, and he said she told him something chilling as they worked.
She said, Marcus, you came to the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what she told me.
That's what Vanessa said to Marcus, not as a victim, as a participant. So which version is true? Let's go back to Marcus, because what happened next is the key to understanding whether Vanessa Moreno is lying. After Devon was beaten, Kyle held Marcus on the ground. Patrick, one of the other men, stood over Devon with a gun. Marcus could hear Devon breathing, struggling, and then Kyle grabbed the gun from Patrick.
Kyle grabbed Patrick's gun and it went off. Boom! And, when everybody heard that, they just kind of spooked. I
heard someone say I'm hit. I want to say it was Devon. I think I'm hit.
And that was the last I heard from Devon.
Multiple witnesses later confirmed Devon's actual final words. What he said was, "Y'all just killed me." He knew exactly what was happening. And Marcus had to listen as his childhood best friend took his last breath. But here's what detectives didn't know yet. Devon didn't die from the gunshot. Not immediately. He was still alive for 30 seconds after the bullet entered his chest. And in those 30 seconds, someone in that room made a decision that sealed Devon's fate. After the gunshot, Marcus expected to die next. Instead, something strange happened. The group started cleaning. Vanessa grabbed towels. One of the men wrapped Devon's body in a tarp, and then Vanessa walked over to Marcus and said something that confused him.
What did Vanessa say to you?
She said, "Marcus, you came to the wrong place at the wrong time." That's what she told me.
And what did you say?
I just said I won't say anything. I promise.
Marcus was trying to survive. He told them whatever they wanted to hear. But Vanessa's words stood out to him because she didn't sound scared. She sounded calm. Like this was just another problem to solve. But when detectives asked Vanessa about that moment, she told them she was terrified the entire time.
I was so scared. I wanted to call the cops. But my phone doesn't work. I couldn't do anything.
One of them is lying, and detectives are about to figure out which one. After they wrapped Devon's body, the group forced Marcus into his own car. They put Devon's body in the trunk, and they drove. Marcus had no idea where they were taking him. He assumed he was about to be executed and buried somewhere remote. But then Kyle said something unexpected. Kyle said, "I'll take you up on that."
What did he mean?
Earlier, I told him I'd give him money if he let me go. And he agreed. He said, "How much money you got?" I said, "About $400. And he said, "Go get it."
They drove Marcus to his parents' neighborhood. Kyle told him he had 5 minutes to get the cash and come back. 5 minutes. If Marcus didn't return, Kyle would come looking for him, and Marcus knew what that meant.
I walked slow at first, like I had a limp, because they could see me from the car. But as soon as I knew they couldn't see me anymore, I ran.
Marcus pounded on his mother's door. When she opened it, he screamed for her to call 911, and he didn't stop to breathe. He didn't stop to process what happened. He just called the police and told them everything. Because of Marcus, police arrested everyone involved within hours. But what came next would reveal just how deep Vanessa's involvement really went. When detectives sat down with Vanessa Moreno, they expected her to lawyer up immediately, but she didn't. Instead, she cried. She claimed Devon was her friend, and she said she tried to stop what happened.
Devon was a friend of mine. I wanted to call the cops, but I was scared. I was scared shitless.
Let's start with Monday night. Who came over?
Devon came over. He brought someone I didn't know. Marcus.
How did you arrange for Devon to come over?
I texted him. It was supposed to be quick. Just a transaction.
But here's where Vanessa's story starts to fall apart. She claims Devon showed up with Marcus unexpectedly, but Marcus told detectives that Devon mentioned Vanessa specifically. He said she invited him. And Marcus says Devon was excited because he thought Vanessa was interested in him romantically. Vanessa just described Devon as sweet for thinking he might get intimacy from her, and now she's crying. But remember what Marcus said. He believed Vanessa deliberately lured Devon to that house because she knew Devon was attracted to her. She was the bait. At this point in the interrogation, detectives still couldn't arrest Vanessa. They had Marcus's testimony. They had a body. But without physical evidence linking Vanessa to the crime scene, her story might hold. And if her story held, she'd walk out of that room a free woman. Detectives knew they had one shot to break her, and they were running out of time. Detectives pressed Vanessa on who else was in the house. She listed Kyle Bradford, Patrick Rodriguez, Stanley West, and Ricky Howard, a longtime friend of Vanessa's who was hanging out there that night. She claimed they were supposed to leave before Devon arrived. She said Kyle came home early and got upset because he didn't want her buying pills.
Kyle came back earlier than I expected. He was upset I was going to get painkillers.
But text messages between Kyle and Devon tell a different story. Yes, there were messages discussing robbing Kyle, but that's not what set Kyle off. What set Kyle off were messages where Devon bragged about sleeping with Vanessa multiple times. When Kyle read those texts, revenge was all he wanted, and detectives knew this. They'd already read the messages. They were watching Vanessa lie in real time, so they stopped asking questions. They just stared at her, and that's when Vanessa realized something was wrong. The interrogation room went silent for 11 seconds. Vanessa looked at both detectives. Neither one spoke. She started crying harder.
I'm telling you the truth. I didn't know this was gonna happen.
The detectives didn't respond. They just waited. Because they knew what most people don't. Silence is a weapon. And Vanessa was about to crack.
I feel like I'm betraying people. But what happened was wrong.
Now detectives had her. Because betraying people means you're protecting someone. And you don't protect people unless you're part of what happened. Devon came inside with Marcus. Vanessa says Devon brought other people who stayed in the car, but she told them not to come in. Why? Because if they came inside, the ambush wouldn't work.
I felt like at first, maybe Kyle thought there was gonna be a robbery. But after they came in, I felt like nothing bad was gonna happen.
Nothing bad? Devon was beaten for 2 minutes straight, and Vanessa stood there watching, but she's not telling detectives everything yet. Because after the gunshot, something else happened. Something Vanessa is desperately trying to avoid talking about.
Where did Devon get shot?
In his chest. Maybe his ear too. I don't know, it was so fast.
You don't know how his ear was injured?
Stan injured his ear. I watched him fight him.
With what?
I think he had a gun. Maybe brass knuckles. I don't know.
Did you see anybody use a hammer?
No. No hammer.
Detectives asked about a hammer specifically. That means they already know something Vanessa doesn't think they know, and her answer just made it worse. Marcus told detectives that after Devon was shot, the group panicked. They started wrapping the body, and that's when Vanessa said something that stuck with him. She said they needed to make sure nobody could identify him. Marcus didn't understand what she meant at first, but then he saw her walk toward Devon's body, and she was holding something in her hand.
So you saw Stan hitting him with something?
Yeah. Stan was hitting him. They were all yelling. I was trying to get them to stop.
But you don't know what Stan was hitting him with?
I have no clue. All I know is he was getting hit.
Vanessa keeps deflecting. She's blaming Stanley West. She's blaming Patrick Rodriguez. She's even blaming Kyle Bradford, but she won't admit what she did, and detectives are about to prove she's lying. Detectives lean back in their chairs. They stopped taking notes. One of them looked at Vanessa and said something that changed everything.
We already talked to Ricky.
Vanessa froze. Ricky Howard was her friend. Ricky was in the house that night, and if Ricky talked, Vanessa's entire story just fell apart.
What did Ricky say?
Detectives didn't answer. They just stared, and Vanessa started spiraling.
I don't know what Ricky told you, but I'm telling you the truth. I didn't want any of this to happen.
But it was too late, because Ricky had already told them everything. According to Ricky Howard, Vanessa didn't try to save Devon. In fact, someone else in the room begged to call an ambulance, and Vanessa refused. Her reason? She didn't want to go to jail. Devon was alive for 30 seconds after being shot. 30 seconds where an ambulance could have been called. 30 seconds where his life could have been saved, and Vanessa said no. Then, according to Ricky, Vanessa grabbed a hammer. She walked over to Devon's body, and she said they needed to make him unrecognizable. She swung at his head, multiple times, and she didn't stop until, in her own words, his ear flew off. The autopsy confirmed this. Devon Hayes had a 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch skin flap torn from his skull near his ear. Blunt force trauma, post-mortem mutilation. After Vanessa's interrogation, detectives executed a search warrant on the house. They found blood spatter on the walls. They found cleaning supplies with Devon's blood on them. And they found Vanessa's fingerprints on the tarp used to wrap Devon's body. By the time the evidence came in, it didn't matter what Vanessa said anymore. The room had already decided who she was. At trial, Vanessa Moreno stuck to her story. She claimed she was just a witness. She claimed she was too scared to call for help. She claimed she never touched Devon's body. The jury didn't believe her. Vanessa Moreno was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She showed no remorse. Not once. Not for Devon. Not for Marcus. And not for what she'd done with that hammer. Patrick Rodriguez, the shooter, received 60 years. Kyle Bradford got 50 years. Stanley West and Ricky Howard each received 35 years. But there is one piece of good news in all of this. Marcus Bradford successfully overcame his addiction. He now works in construction and as a substance abuse counselor, helping others avoid the life that almost killed him. Vanessa Moreno claimed she was just a witness to a terrible crime. But in the end, the only true witness was the man she never expected to survive. The man who saw everything. The man who told detectives the truth. Marcus Bradford didn't just survive that night. He made sure Devon Hayes' death wasn't in vain. And because of Marcus, Vanessa Moreno will never hurt anyone again.